Howdy do, everyone, and welcome to the Contingency Plan. We're closing in on the beginning of April, so obviously that means it's time for a video about situational awareness. My personal take on situational awareness is that it is basically a lifestyle and not something that you turn on and off, much like keeping a low profile or the gray man method. This should be a part of who you are and not a hobby or something you only engage in under certain conditions. These days, all you really need to do is what many of us like to refer to as people watching. Find a busy area with lots of people and simply observe them. More than likely, you're going to see a lot of people that live in a bubble. What I mean by that is their world only extends out a few feet from them in all directions. If it is not taking place on the phone they are staring at in their hand, then it's simply not happening in their world. The only way they will ever become aware of it is if there is a very loud noise or someone starts screaming. Even then, if they have their earbuds in, they still might be unaware that anything is taking place around them. That simply isn't going to cut it, people. For me, situational awareness is more than paying attention to what's going on around you. It's expecting something to happen. When it doesn't, chalk one up in the win column. This doesn't mean that you have to hide, cut yourself off from society, avoid people altogether, or live in fear. None of us get out of here alive, in a physical sense. However, that doesn't mean that you should become completely oblivious to your surroundings either. The Heavenly Father has chosen to bless us with 5 senses, and although we have been programmed in many ways not to trust those senses, they are there for a reason. Situational awareness means far more than just not staring at your phone when you're in public. Here are examples of how I do things whenever I am forced to be out in public. One thing I always do is scan the area I am in or about to enter. I look for anything that just seems or feels out of place. Whenever I enter a space, I look at the layout of the place. Where are the exits? What obstacles are there? Does anyone there look like a potential threat? Who are the people there? Meaning, how many elderly, how many females, how many children, how many men? Age ranges, physical appearance. What items do they have with them? What are they doing? How are they behaving? That brings us to cover and or concealment. If shit suddenly went down, what are your cover versus concealment options? Many people don't know or have never given any thought to cover or concealment and the differences between the two. Concealment simply means a place where you can be hidden from view or at least less visible. It does not mean it will protect you. Cover I simply describe as something that will stop a bullet. It's a very simple definition, but it's the one that matters the most to me. Examples of concealment. Inside a car, ducked behind a car, or behind a car door is concealment. A bullet will go in one side and out the other without any problem. Many people think that if you're inside your car and ducked down that you're safe. No, you're just concealed. If bullets are hitting your car, put it in gear and haul ass out of the danger zone. Inside a house. Again, bullets will go through walls, doors, pretty much anything associated with a house. If you're stuck in a house when bullets start flying outside, a basement is probably the only guaranteed safe spot. Put as many layers between yourself and where the bullets are coming from. Lie flat to make yourself as small a target as possible, and then pray. Jumping in a bathtub is another idea, since it's one more barrier between you and the shooter. Examples of cover. In the car example, the only place you are relatively safe is with the engine block between you and the source of incoming rounds. You can still catch a ricochet coming up from underneath the vehicle, but the engine should stop anything coming directly your way. Behind a mound of earth, such as a berm or in a ditch. Some walls, such as concrete blocks, will stop some rounds, but it depends on the caliber. It's definitely better than not being behind a concrete wall. So that's cover and concealment. Obviously cover is preferred, but take whichever is available to you at the moment. So back to situational awareness. The best thing you can do is avoid putting yourself in a situation or area where things have a higher probability of going wonky. If something just doesn't feel right, leave. Stay in highly visible and public areas. There have been countless instances of situations like this from Craigslist ads where the people didn't insist on meeting in a very public setting and things didn't end well for them. Carry an item in your hand when you are in sketchy areas. Many suggest car keys. These will work if you carry them correctly. Many assume that you carry them in your fist with the long part of the key sticking out between your fingers. That's a very bad way to use a key as a defensive weapon. This is the correct way to hold keys to defend yourself. You don't stab with them, instead you slash. Holding them this way will get you injured even if you do get away. I know this is a difficult thing for a lot of people today, but don't stare at your phone unless it's absolutely necessary. We got along just fine before these things were around, and I promise you that you'll be just fine if you only look at it when you need to. You'll actually be safer in the long run because you can use that time and energy to scan the environment that you're in instead. Phones have become a crutch and have in many instances replaced situational awareness, among other things. I'm not advocating that you throw your phone away or leave it at home. Just use it in moderation and instead take in the world around you. Don't live in fear, but make it second nature to live aware of your surroundings. The best way to survive a bad incident is to avoid it in the first place. I realize this video was sort of all over the place and that I missed many points and examples, but the bottom line is to not only use, but trust your senses. Again, God granted us these amazing gifts for a reason, and that includes intuition along with the 5 physical ones. Thank you for watching, and God bless each one of you. Peace.